Hello everyone and welcome. This month at Aspen we're looking at the third sector and the work that we do there and the organisations that we work with. And we were keen to spotlight some of those organisations and talk to some of the key people that are involved in the sector. Something we've been asked quite a lot through the pandemic is how have third sector organisations still recruited into that senior leadership space and how have things worked. So today I'm really pleased to welcome Gail who's the newly appointed Chief Exec of Sleep Scotland, and get her kind of ideas on taking over a Chief Executive role through the pandemic where everything's been digital and completely different from the usual kind of process. Hi Gail, thanks so much for joining us today. It's really nice to see you. You've been in post for about 3 months now, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It started at the start of January. It seems like a long time ago, but also it's flown by.
Yeah, so right in the middle of the dark part of the pandemic and the winter and everything. So how did you kind of find the process then of starting as a chief exec, of an organisation when you probably weren't really able to get stuck in and get involved like you would in kind of more normal times?
Yeah, I mean it's been a whirlwind really, and actually I suppose I started T-1 because the day before I was due to start, the First Minister announced the new latest rounds of lockdown and stay at home, so which was going to have an impact on our service. So literally before I'd even done introductions, I was straight into making decisions operationally about what we were going to do to react to the new measures. So it's been a really crazy time, but actually it's been really rewarding to start at this time because you're seeing people at their best when they're having to think on their feet and make decisions and really sort of work together. It's actually been a really powerful thing to come into a chief executive when that's been happening within the team, and really sort of trying to get to know everyone and see how people tick within that. It's been actually a really good thing to do, and I've really enjoyed it, and everyone's been so incredibly welcoming despite the fact I've not actually met most of them yet in person.
Yeah, that must be kind of the hardest bit, isn't it? Not being able to kind of have a coffee with people and kind of sit down face to face. But for those of us who maybe don't know Sleep Scotland, tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, sure. So we're actually two charities under one heading really. We've got Sleep Scotland and we've got Teens. In Sleep Scotland, we believe that everybody deserves a good night's sleep, and we offer support and guidance to families on children and young people who are having trouble getting to sleep. And we work with them and through our sleep support line to help them to improve the quality of their sleep and how they're getting to sleep. We also train professionals who are working with children and young people on those same issues to help teachers and health visitors and GPs work with people and families to resolve sleep issues. And a lot of our clients have children with additional support needs, and so we work a lot with that kind of area. And then our teens side, we run 2 social daycare centres for young adults who are transitioning out of statutory education, and we offer a transitional service that's also very much focused on lifelong learning and building life skills, and those are for people with complex and extensive communication issues, and we work with them over a period of time to get them ready to transition into college or supported accommodation. And so we have 2 centres that are actually open at the moment whilst we've got all the lockdown restrictions.
Good. So how did lockdown affect a lot of the services then, or were you still able to kind of carry on with the way you would usually work?
I think early on there was a lot of rethinking, probably like everybody, having to rethink how we were doing things, but we've kind of found a rhythm now in the way that the centres, we are open, but we're running a hybrid model of students being in the centre, online calls, and also going out into the community with our students. And that's working really well actually, and I think there's a lot of learning that we've done from that will carry on going forward. There's definitely some things that will not be sorry to see the back of, but there's definitely things that we're really excited to continue and embed in the new normal. And with our sleep support services, we've moved all of our training online now, and we can't really see many people wanting to go back to having to trudge down to Edinburgh or Glasgow to attend a training course, and I think that's probably going to be quite normal for us going forward.
So there's been some positives as well, as some stuff that's maybe not been as easy to kind of change or to work around.
I think so. I mean, I'm always an optimistic person anyway, and there's definitely things that have been challenging, and the biggest thing I think have been the team's well-being, just with all of this, because there's the outside influences of what's going on in everybody's life just now with the pandemic, and the general levels of anxiety that people are feeling around that, but also being so remote and getting used to not seeing your colleagues and having a cup of tea and a chat and things like that has been quite, I think, difficult for everybody. And you just have to kind of find workarounds, and we've been having sort of team socials like everybody else really, and a couple of teas over this. And I think starting as a new chief executive within that has been really interesting. And I was reflecting on this and how, particularly with my senior managers, I feel this way of working as a new chief executive has been quite intense with the senior management team. And I think that's actually accelerated the way in which we've built relationships. And I think also having insight into people's family lives that are going on outside, and my two cats have become celebrities within the organisation because they usually make an appearance, and I think it's a bit of an icebreaker as a new person in the team to actually have to explain, this is my cat, and or introduction to your family members as they walk past the screen behind you and things. So it's been quite difficult, but I think there's really been positives from starting in this way and sort of getting used to working in this way.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's quite nice to kind of have a bit of a nosy into people's houses, and their pets and stuff like that have been a big feature. If we maybe kind of think back to, seems like a long time ago, when we kind of went through the process with you of recruiting for the role and taking you through the process as a candidate, where everything's digital, you're not getting to shake the hand of the board and, sit down in front of them and that kind of stuff. How did you kind of, I guess, get through the process? Was it something that you'd done before, or was it something you'd kind of thought, well, this is really new, I'm not sure how this is going to work? So how did that feel, going through that kind of process?
It was a little bit strange, and I think, it was good. We were all fairly adapted to this sort of technology by the time I came to apply for the role. So having meetings like with yourself and sort of talking about the role was quite normal. It felt quite normal, I suppose. The strange bit was the interview, and because you do get a sense for the room and how people are reacting. That it's not quite the same when you're not physically in the room with people. But I have to say that the board were really great and really welcoming and really put me at ease, and it made the process, the interview itself, feel a little bit more normal. And obviously having you there, having met you before as well, was really helpful, just to kind of give some sort of support and steer through what was quite a strange experience for everybody. But I think one of the things I remember about the process was having built a rapport and having felt a really good connection with the people at the other end of the call, and I think that was really overriding for me in the recruitment process, and why I was really fired up after already being excited about the role, but afterwards and thinking, I really could work with these people, and that's really exciting. And so I don't think there was anything hugely lost by the process and being entirely online, although it did, I think, feel quite strange. But it was also quite nice to have it in a safe space in my own house, rather than having to come into this strange room and in a different office and things. So it was quite, ultimately, on reflection, positive, but it felt very odd at the time.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know what your thoughts on this actually are before we let you go, but I think some of the aspects of that, when things get back to whatever normal is going to be, some aspects of online recruitment might stay, they might hang around. So I think there is a kind of efficiency aspect to it, and people aren't travelling for hours, to do certain bits of the process. What would your thoughts on that be, kind of as someone who may be recruiting? Is it something you would keep in the process, or are you keen to get everything back face to face?
I think there's always value in being able to have, particularly as a senior appointment, I think it having value in being able for the team to meet candidates and get to know them, because that's a really important link, and I don't know how you can really do that for certain team members remotely. But I think the interview itself, it felt okay online, and I think we're all used to it now, as I say, so it's not going to be I think a shock to the system for a lot of people going forward. And definitely the saving of travel time across the piece, I think, for everybody is a massive win in terms of work-life balance, but just also productivity and having that time to not have to travel all the time to different meetings and things like that. So I would say I think having online processes is not a bad way to go, as long as there's a way to sort of insert the most invaluable bits about team connections and dynamics, which I think can't be lost really by this process.
Yeah. Gail, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been lovely to catch up with you and hear how things are going. And it was a real pleasure working with you through the process.
You too.
And I'll look forward to seeing how the next kind of few months go, and I'm sure hopefully we can catch up in person fairly soon.
Yeah, that's great. Take care.
Thanks, Gail.